The sound test room.
Hello and welcome to the sound test room. This is the attaQ show. I am Jakob, your host, and today we're going to take a look at modulation. I love modulation. Modulation is a fun thing. I'm using Propellerhead Thor because I absolutely love this synthesizer. You can do so much with it. It's got all the tools you need and it's got loads of different oscillators. Before we start, I'm just gonna go through a few of my patches. A while back, on my old blog, attaQ, I gave away some presets for Thor. These are drum and bass and dubstep presets, and you can actually still download these from thesoundtestroom.com. I'll provide you with the link in the blog post containing this video. Let's start with the wobble head. Wobbling is very important for dubstep. It's basically just about modulating the cutoff of a filter. There's quite a bit of modulation going on here, and if we look at the routing window, you can see that I'm modulating the filter frequency with an LFO, and I'm also modulating the oscillator mods with the modulation envelope, and I'm gonna show you why. So let's just start up. Where's my empty patch? There's my empty patch. Okay, here's something empty. Mono legato, one polyphony. I like doing mono sounds. Okay, so now we're in the knobs section. We are going to create a dubstep sound wavetable oscillator, and go down and you find these mixed waves. These are great for dubstep and drum and bass. So we're gonna choose the mixed waves 3, and if we play this, you can hear how it cycles through different waves, and we are going to modulate that. Now we go to the routing window and we choose the modulation envelope, and we send that to oscillator 1 mod, and that is actually this knob here. I'm gonna set it to this position. It's important where you set the knob when you're modulating stuff. And then I'm gonna turn up the, let's just turn it up all the way and see what happens. Nothing happens. Why? Because we haven't made any settings to the modulation envelope. So we go back to the knob section, and I always punch in the gate trig, and I always sync to the tempo. That's what I always do. You don't have to, but that's what I do. And when you do that, you actually you see the time increments here: 1/16, 1/8, 3/16. Yeah, it's very easy to sync to tempo when you do it like this. So the first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna change the attaQ, and you can hear how it cycles through a wave. And I'm gonna turn this down now, and then up. Nothing happens there, because this is turned up to 100, so it's gonna go all the way, and if you've set the knob quite high, there's not much space for it to go. But if I set the position really high, and I turn this to a minus decrement, it's gonna cycle down instead of up. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna set the knob on this one to about 49, and I'm gonna turn this up to about 54. Not much happening. That's really cool. Let's turn down the attaQ, and then up with the decay. I'm also going to turn down the octave and turn up the gain so we can hear it better. I'm going to add another wavetable oscillator, and I'm going to choose the mixed wave 2. If we take a look at this section here, Here's where you just punch in where the sound goes from the oscillator. So these numbers are corresponding to the number of oscillators here. So 1 is this one, 2 is this one, 3 is this one. And same with filter 2. But we're just gonna use filter 1 today. So I'm gonna remove oscillator 1 and I'm gonna punch in oscillator 2. So we only hear that. I like that sharp sound. And I like that. So let's choose the mod envelope. Same modulation envelope, but this time we're gonna put it to a decrement in minus 68 like that, and send it to the oscillator 2 mod. That's very nice. And I'm also going to turn this down an octave. This sound has just too little bass and I want to add some bass. So what I usually do, I add a analog oscillator, and I choose a sine wave as default, and then turn down the octave. But right now we have a snapping sound. We expand this part and we up the attack on the amplifier envelope, and also on the release. Now there's no snapping sound. So we expand the oscillator and the filter section, and now we punch in all of them. Now these are tuned different, so I'm gonna tune this one down and tune this one up so they're synced. It sounds pretty cool. Filter wobble. We're gonna add a low pass ladder, and right now it's turned down really low, so we're gonna put the frequency knob up here somewhere above 1000 Hertz. Starting to hear it. Let's turn down the... Okay. That's pretty cool. Go back to the routing, because now we are going to modulate the filter frequency, and we do that with an LFO to get that wobble effect. So I'm gonna choose LFO 1, and I'm gonna just turn it up a bit, like maybe 67, and send that to filter 1 frequency. So it's the LFO 1 is going to modulate the filter frequency. I punch in the key sync, so it syncs with the key. Every time I turn down the I hit a key, it starts from the beginning of a cycle. And I also punch in the tempo sync, and not much is happening right now, but now we're starting to hear it. And if we want it to wobble really roughly, just turn up this just as high as you can. This is why modulation is so much fun and so important. I suggest you try out everything. Just go and look what you have here in the matrix. Open it up and check out all the sources you can use to modulate stuff. And you're gonna find out that if you do this long enough, you're gonna feel limited by this, because you're gonna run out of space and you're gonna do everything you can. Now, one important thing about the modulation matrix is on this side you have one source, one destination, and one scales to set things to. And on this side you can actually use one source and send it to two destinations, and use one scale. And here you actually have one source one destination and 2 scales, but you only have 2 spaces here. So let's say I wanted to do this, but I don't want to use double spaces here. So I could just do it here. So what I do is I press here, I take the modulation envelope and I send it up to a 69, I think it was here, yeah. Send it to oscillator 1 mod, and then I turn this one down to -68 as this one and send that to oscillator 2 mod. Let's clear these two. These are clear buttons. Let's remove the filter altogether so you can hear it bypass. So that way you're only taking up 1 space instead of 2 spaces. So that's what I usually do. If I look at this and I can see that I'm using the same thing, modulating multiple things, I try to put them together here. You should go check out my attaQ episode 20. It's called Wobble. I am using Media Designer Pro, where I've built a template to control the wobble rate in Propellerhead Thor. Check the blog post on thesoundtestroom.com containing this video, and you will find all the links you need to download the template for Media Designer Pro. Go check the video and see how I do it. It's a perfect thing to use when you're doing live performance. And dubstepies, you'll absolutely love it. So there you have it, some basic modulation to get a dubstep sound. Have a visit at thesoundtestroom.com. Me, Doug and Colin are always working hard to provide you with interesting iOS related stuff. Please subscribe to my channel, comment down below, and as always, me, Doug and Colin from thesoundtestroom.com wishes you a very productive week.